I set up Facebook Live, record, share, do all the things. And for people who haven't been using Zoom much lately, just know they've done some updating. And while all the things kind of lay in the same space, it looks a little different. So don't be surprised.
There's
And
a little bit of a learning curve now, right?
a little learning curve. And the other thing I've just found out to share a little tip is if you're wanting to do a Facebook Live, you can't share your screen first. It simply won't give you the option to. You got to set up the Facebook Live before you share your screen. So nice little tip there. But if you are here for the course Common Risks That Business Owners Overlook, you are in the right course. Today's course is being given to you by Millie Corsoro. Woo! And she is on the road today, which is really cool. Maybe are you somewhere cool today, Millie? Where are you? Are you in Richmond?
I was at a sales training with one of our carriers.
Are you in Richmond though?
Yeah, I'm actually in Innsbruck.
Oh, cool. Okay. So before we get started, pass the baton off to Millie, we're going to read the Empower People Oath together. So
Okay.
let's do this. I, Tiffany Joy Green, do solemnly
swear to
accept the
accept the
lifelong
lifelong
obligation
obligation to hone my superhero powers and apply those superhero powers to the good
of the
of the
people I
people
serve.
I serve.
I will
I will
promote and
promote and
add
add to the ongoing success
of
of
Empower
Empower
People,
People, its members,
and their
and the
people,
people,
organizations, and
organizations, and
communities I serve.
communities I serve.
Help
I
prepare
will
the
prepare the
next
next
generation.
generation of superheroes. I
I am
am
driven
driven
to be a
to be a
positive
positive
change
change agent
for
for
those I
those I
serve and
serve and
interact with.
interact with.
And let's just take 1 second, Millie, and do superhero pose. Might be a little hard in the car, but it really affects your day when you do it. It really does. Okay, so now I am going to the next slide and say, okay, Millie, you're up.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Tiffany, for moderating and assisting me on the technical end of the presentation. I really appreciate it. Thank you for being so accommodating with my schedule. As I said, I'm Millie Corsoro. Today, we are going to discuss some common risks that business owners overlook. As an independent insurance agent, my job is to really work with commercial business owners and help them understand their coverages and their risks. In this course today, we're going to talk more on the risk side and what you can do to be a little bit more proactive to ensure that your business is ready for success, and not just today, but in the future. You know, we have a lot of things that we plan for as business owners. Most of us don't usually plan for those overlooked business scenarios that may really adversely affect ourselves, our employees, and our operations. So today we're going to go over that a little bit today. Hopefully by the end of the discussion today, you'll be able to better identify those business risks. You can better understand the importance of being proactive and managing those risks. And we'll also take a look at how insurance can sometimes mitigate some of those risks that we're going to review today. So let's start with, I'm going to share a little bit about myself. As I said, I am an independent agent. I have just recently actually transitioned to a new agency, Client First Insurance Group. I'm so thrilled to be part of this team. We do personal lines, but we also do a lot of the commercial lines too. But given that recent migration to the new agency, I have been in insurance for 3 years now, and I have plenty of experience on the auto, home, and the commercial insurance side. More so on the commercial insurance side. And that being said, I also have over a decade of experience working with business owners in the past. Before I transitioned out of the workforce to be a stay-at-home mom, I was in the sales business with telecommunication services for business owners. And that went from government agencies all the way down to, mom and pop shops. So, and my last point that I always love to mention is I'm a proud Girl Scout troop leader and a volunteer. They keep me really busy. So the next generation of superheroes, I'm working on them. So first I wanted to start with a surprising statistic. 70% of small businesses face some type of crisis in their first 10 years. And focusing on the risk management part and the operational efficiency protects your business. And it also fosters which is our whole purpose of this course with Tiffany. It also fosters that purpose-driven leadership that we are increasingly looking for in our business leaders. It also brings about accountability and trust. You have a lot of people, in most cases, when you own your own business, that are relying on you, and to help enhance your employees' morale and create a more resilient organization. These are things that you should really consider when you are building your business plan, whether you are an existing business or you're going into business as a new startup. So I just wanted to go over, like I said, focusing on the risks in your business. And then from there, I want to invite everyone here to think about any business risks that you've encountered in your own journey, and consider how you can, what kind of safeguards can you put in place in the future to make sure that you have not just planned for those risks, but you have a plan in place to manage those risks. So first, let's start with what I'll do is I'll start with our least common risks, and then we'll go down to the most common risks. And then if at the last 20 minutes, if there's any questions, we can engage in questions. So the first and least common business risk is political. And political risks are defined by risks that arise in changes from government policy or geopolitical events. These are never really foreseen. We can't really plan ahead for that. We do have an insurance product out there, a political risk insurance, that can cover your losses from any unexpected trade restrictions or any unexpected policy, government regulation changes or policy changes. I'll be honest in that, because it is such an uncommon risk, I don't have a lot of experience with that type of insurance product. But if you are a business that is considering going into an international market, or there's a lot of regulatory framework to your business, this is something that you're going to want to discuss with someone. And I certainly can be a mediator in that conversation. We have a lot of specialty products out there and a lot of specialty line agents that can better speak to this experience. A real life example that I think would be great for people to kind of get an idea of what this kind of risk looks like is when the ZTE Corporation, it was a Chinese telecom giant, in 2018, they faced a crisis when the US government imposed a ban on its products because of sanctions. It nearly bankrupted the company, and it's just one example of how geopolitical risks can really impact your operation. So again, if you are a business owner who's considering going into an international market, it's a discussion you really should have with an agent regarding what kind of products and what kind of management techniques you can put in place to mitigate that. The next area that can have severe repercussions are intellectual property risks. And these are more risks that are associated with infringement claims based on the potential loss of intellectual property rights. And it includes patents, trademarks, copyrights, and trade secrets. I put this in the least common risk, but it is something that is getting a little bit more common because of content generation. There's so many people out there generating their own content, and they're maybe borrowing a song or logos or images that might have copyrights or trademarks. So if you are someone that is in that kind of a field, make sure that the images and the songs that you're using, you either have the licensing permission to use that, or that you are creating, if you need something like that, that you're creating it on your own. Another real life example of that was Spotify, actually. They had a multi-million-dollar lawsuit from Wixon Music Publishing, and they used thousands of their songs without proper licensing. It really highlighted the financial impact of IP infringement. Wixon was seeking over $1.6 billion in damages. So it's really, I mean, I can't highlight this this, like I said, there's a lot of people out there on TikTok, on Facebook. They generate their own content and they're using they're borrowing songs, they're using images, they're creating content with logos. So just be mindful when you're out there creating your own content of what you're using, and is it something that's protected? And if you get caught, what are the repercussions? So I guess the good question here is what are you doing to make sure you're mitigating against any kind of intellectual property risk? So with intellectual property risk in mind, if we could just shift to our next moderately common risk, it's cybersecurity risk. This is something else that we're seeing a lot more of. And this is cybersecurity risk come from data breaches, having sensitive data that is hacked somehow, cyber attacks. Those run the gamut now, from your computer systems getting locked down for blackmail, or unauthorized access to sensitive information, which is not only going to compromise your business operations, but is really going to damage the relationship between your business and your clients. That's something that we don't take seriously enough, I think, sometimes. I think we've gotten so used to having everything online, but it really does damage to your brand and to your reputation as a business owner when you don't have the proper safeguards in place to make sure that when you do have sensitive customer data, that you're protecting it. And not only does it violate customer trust, you're also you're going to open yourself, and you're liable for all those damages that may result from the damages that your clients might see from having their information out there. So, and another real life example for that was when Twitter in 2020, they experienced a cyber attack. Hackers gained access to real life high profile accounts, and it also coordinated in a cryptocurrency scam. So this raised a lot of questions about Twitter and their security protocols. And not only, again, did it lead to that reputational harm to Twitter, a company that we all very much trusted at one point, but they had a lot of financial losses because of it. So it's really important. If you're modern day business, you're likely going to have something on the internet. And I think the question here is, what measures do you implement to enhance your cybersecurity? So another risk that is often overlooked and that really can disrupt your operations and your profitability are risks that can lead to the temporary closure of your operations. Something like a fire, something like a natural disaster, or something that we're increasingly seeing in our modern age, supply chain disruptions. There is an insurance product, business interruption income. There's a couple parts of it. There's the loss of use, which if like you were in a fire and you were a business owner that needed your building to operate your business out of, you would have loss of use would cover the cost for you not to operate. Then there's also an additional business income, which would cover any income that you would lose during that time frame. And there's a third part to that sometimes, where you have the option of adding the coverage of anything beyond your normal operating costs that you would have to incur to re-establish a business elsewhere. There is a insurance product in place for that as well. And an example of that would be is if there is a fire in your existing building and you need to move to another location temporarily and rent it out while your building is being renovated, there's an insurance product in place for that to cover that cost. So you're not eating that, and it's not eating into your profitability. So there's a lot of ways that this can happen. I've seen it. Unfortunately, I think it was a couple of years ago, there was a massive fire in Richmond and Patterson, and most of those businesses in there didn't have the kind of insurance that they needed, and a lot of those costs were unfortunately coming out of their pocket. So, and it can leave you struggling to cover those expenses. So it's something that is really, you should really have that discussion, because as much as we don't want to happen, it does happen. I mean, look at what happened in North Carolina with Hurricane Helene. A lot of those businesses are gone. Many of them were catastrophic losses. And the proper insurance is going to at least mitigate some of those costs. So now we're going to move on to professional liability. This is more of a risk that's associated with the service. So if you're someone that's in the legal field, lawyers, accountants, someone that offers a legal a type of service where you can make errors that lead to negligence or malpractice in the provision of your professional services, these can often lead to claims from your customers who are seeking damages to remedy the harm that your professional service has caused them. In 2018, my real life example of this was PwC was sued for negligence, and it was related to an audit of LTCG, a financial industry firm. The lawsuit led to a $25 million settlement from PwC to LTCG. And it just, again, highlights the potential financial repercussions of not having that professional oversight and the importance of maintaining high service standards. Another name for professional liability can be errors in omission. And it also does cover your legal defenses. And sometimes it can cover your settlements. But again, it's part of that broader framework of looking at your business operations and making sure that there's a certain standard that we're all operating within and that there's accountability there. So the next one we're going to talk about is product liability. This is less service, and it's more of a defective product that can cause harm or injury to your customers, often leading to legal claims. The example I have here for a real life example is in 2014 when GM had a massive recall. I'm sure many of our watchers remember the faulty ignitions that led to several accidents and fatalities. They incurred billions of dollars in costs related not just to the settlements and legal claims, but again, the damage to your reputation. And making sure that you have a product out there that not only is it operating the way that you're saying it's operating, but it's doing it in a safe way that doesn't harm your clients. Because this is it can get costly, especially nowadays. Lawsuits are not cheap. They've never been cheap. They're not getting cheaper. They're getting huger. So, I mean, I hate to say that, but it's just, maybe this is why people don't want to have this conversation, because it gets a little scary at times, but it's scary out there, it can be scary. But again, that's why we're here. That's why we're having this conversation. That's why we want to address these things and make sure that we at least have a conversation with our employees and ourselves and everyone in management. Because I think for me, as an insurance agent, yeah, the insurance product is in place. I think the reputational harm is, for me, the biggest thing that is really, there is no insurance to protect against reputational harm. You know what I mean? So anyway, so now we're going to move on to the more common risks that business owners will encounter. And the first one, which is very common, everybody always think about it, property damage. And that's going to be any damage that's associated with your business property. Again, that's going to be related kind of to the fire and the natural disasters. This also does include vandalism and theft, and can also lead to significant disruptions in your operations and your financial, what your financials look like. In our real life example, in 2018, Walmart experienced substantial property loss from Hurricane Michael. It resulted in over $1 billion in losses for them. It destroyed facilities, it disrupted supply chains, and it was just another example, of how natural disasters have devastating impacts on business operations and our finances. Your property insurance is going to help you cover the repairs. It's going to help you cover any replacement costs for damaged assets. And it also is going to help that bottom line with the cost of all of these things, where they're going to help you get back into business a little bit quicker than you normally would without that insurance in place. So here I want to ask you, what kind of steps do you as a business owner, what kind of steps are you taking to safeguard your physical assets against things like natural disasters and vandalism? And if you aren't taking those steps, what is your plan to prepare for those unexpected damages? So now that we've covered property damage, we're going to talk a little bit about general liability, which is the most common insurance product that most business owners are going to know about. And these are going to happen from third-party claims of bodily injury or property damage that is caused by your business operations, your products, or anything on your premise. Somebody comes into your office, slips and falls, that's going to be something that you incur on your general liability. It covers your legal defense costs, any settlements and judgments and related to those third-party claims, and it's going to help you manage your liabilities and protect your assets. So here is a great question to kind of think about. What are some of your biggest concerns when you're interacting with your customers in your office? And what about the safety of your premises? Are you addressing those risks? If there's a cracked sidewalk, if it's an uneven sidewalk, are there stairs that they have to take? Are there proper railings in place? Are the stairs even? I mean, these are all kind of things that you have to think about as a business owner, because the risk of harming your clients are there. And it's so common, though. Most business owners are really responsible about maintaining their premises. So my real life example here is when Kraft Heinz in 2019, they were actually sued when a customer of theirs found a foreign object in one of their products. And not only did they, again, have to pay for legal costs and the settlement, but the damage to your trust and reputation is, like I said, there is no insurance against that. So, and then finally, we have to look at workers' comp insurance. This is not really an insurance for any type of your business operation. It's a business insurance product that's really meant for your employees in the event of an injury or an illness in the course of their employment with you. In most cases, it is compulsory, meaning that you have to have it. If you are a business owner with more than one employee in the state of Virginia, you are required to carry it to cover those potential claims and injuries that your employees might have. And it covers everything from medical expenses to their lost wages and any potential legal claims that your employee might have against you as their employer. Our real life example, I hate to pick on Amazon, but Amazon faced a lot of scrutiny after reports highlighted a spike in workplace injuries at its warehouse. Led to a lot of lawsuits and regulatory investigations. And it just underscores the importance of maintaining a safe safety protocols in your workplace, and the need to ensure that you have adequate coverage in your workers' comp policy to address any of those employee injuries. Because again, it's covering legal claims, medical expenses, and their lost wages. So you can imagine, especially nowadays, the bodily injury costs are getting higher. It's something that if you don't have enough coverage, you're going to be paying out of pocket. In most cases, if it's something that was avoidable, you could even see a lawsuit from it. So that's what workers' comp does. And the question I want to ask is, what safety measures do you have in place to protect your employees? And what do you do to respond to those workplace injuries when they do occur? So in summary, we've explored various overlooked risks and how insurance is a powerful tool for mitigating many of these risks. I really encourage everyone to to evaluate your insurance, your risk exposure, and consider what kind of products, for as far as insurance is concerned, you can put in place to safeguard not just your business operations, but also the future of your business. We as leaders, we have to take responsibility for that risk management. And then you demonstrate to your employees a transparency and a commitment to them, to your business, and to your community. Because many of us go out into the community and we are the faces of our businesses and we have a reputation to uphold. And again, my biggest advice would be, like I said a few times already, there is no insurance to protect your reputation. And that's what we're all here for as part of the Empower People course, is that we are business leaders that are looking forward. And when you have that kind of a hat on your head, I think being someone that values your relationships within the community is integral to demonstrating that I care about the future of not just my own business, but for my employees and my community and the people that I serve. So that's really all I have. I just want to keep emphasizing that it's really fostering long-term relationships and customer loyalty is really what we're looking for here.
Well, thank you, Millie. What we're going to do now is we're going to shut down Facebook Live. So we're going to say goodbye to our Facebook friends on Facebook Live. And if
Thank
you're
you for
not
joining us.
absolutely, and if you're not an Empower People member, there's no excuse. You join for free. www.empowerpeople.org/join. It's in the comments and join. But now we're going to continue on. Facebookers, and Millie and I are going to be doing some Q&A. So we'll see you, as they say, old school, on the flip side.